What can or would you do as a member of Congress to rein in the president's power and actions?
He's out of his mind. I think there needs to be a series of cognitive tests that should determine whether our leaders responsible for quite literally the most powerful military in the world are capable of handling that responsibility. We also need to make sure that there's checks and balances in our congressional system so that one person can't do something like tariffs that destroy entire economies across the North line. Parts, grains, you name it, that costs more now to us as Americans in the form of essentially a federal sales tax. Inflation's on the rise. Cost of goods is on the rise. The answer is simple. We need to restore checks and balances, put the power back in the hands of a Congress that makes these decisions and not just one person.
Democrats can't just say these words. They need to act on them. We have people personally enriching themselves to the tune of billions of dollars through crypto scams, through selling pardons. The very first job of a Congress that does its job is to hold people accountable. And if there's been criminality, we should hold them criminally accountable. We cannot be people who say one thing and do another. We say our house is on fire, and then our leaders go back inside that house and have a drink like nothing's going on. Why do we think voters don't believe us anymore? If we believe there is corrupt action in Washington, D.C., then when we get a real Congress there doing its job, we must hold them criminally accountable or it will never end.
We have agencies in the government right now that have violated more court orders in the last year than some agencies in the entirety of their existence. And we have a Congress and a congressman right now representing us in western Montana, and I suppose two across Montana, here in the Eastern District 2, that are too cowardly to stand up and buck their own party when we have flagrant violations of the law. We deserve a representative that is willing to buck either party. That is the kind of district that this is, and that's the kind of representatives that we need. How did we get here? How did someone like Donald Trump get elected? How do we have majorities right now in Congress that are wrecking this chaos across our country? Well, it's because a lot of my coworkers, a lot of my union members, friends who voted for these guys, they would tell me more often than anything else, you know, both parties are just the same. And that is an incredibly frustrating thing to hear if you see the results of one party's leadership. But what they are saying is when they look at Congress and they look at their options, what they are too often faced with is a choice between one millionaire and another and deciding which one of those millionaires is going to stand up for working people like us. And that is no choice. That is not the choice we deserve in a democracy. If we want to give working people representation, let us fight for ourselves.
Yes, Trump is out of control, but I want to take this question to have a heart-to-heart with Montana Democrats. It doesn't matter how much we know and understand what's going on if we don't get elected. In Montana, since I was born, between the Senate and the House, we have only won one race that's been open or held by a Republican, and that was Senator Tester. He won in the district 2 years ago. He is the only approved solution that we have as Montana Democrats for how to flip this from red to blue. We need to address this administration. We need to put checks and balances back in there. But it will only happen when we get somebody elected as a Democrat from Montana in Congress.